Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a massive misconception that's literally costing businesses a fortune in time, energy, and money. You know how it goes. When folks talk about AI integration, the conversation almost instantly defaults to APIs, right? It's always, hey, can this tool connect to our CRM, or does it talk to our document management system? And people kind of just assume that once those technical connectors are in place, boom, the integration is complete, the system's plugged in, so it's got to be working inside the business, right? Well, actually, no. Today, we're going to look at the hard data and the real-world workflows to see exactly why treating integration as just a basic technical connection is setting you up for failure. Okay, let's dive into this with a statement that might ruffle a few feathers, but it is absolutely essential to grasp. An API connection is not integration. It is where integration starts. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. An API connection is simply a technical prerequisite. It's literally just the starting line. The actual real-world integration problem is way more operational than it is technical. It's all about fitting this incredibly powerful AI into how your daily work actually moves, how your team makes decisions, and exactly how people are supposed to act on the outputs the AI spits out. Connecting the tools is just the beginning of a much longer operational race. And the financial gravity of just stopping at that starting line, it is staggering. To put it into perspective, a massive 95% of organizations saw literally zero measurable profit and loss impact from generative AI. That's according to MIT NANDA's 2025 research. 95%. So why is that? Well, it wasn't because the AI models were bad. Not at all. It was because most of these enterprise-grade systems just completely stalled out. They hit a wall because of brittle workflows, a lack of contextual learning, and just a total misalignment with day-to-day operations. The AI was technically connected, sure, but it completely failed to integrate into the operational reality of the business. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens next. Look at the data from S&P Global Market Intelligence on the share of companies abandoning the majority of their AI initiatives before they even reach production. The year-over-year jump has skyrocketed from 17% all the way up to 42%. The takeaway here is crystal clear. The hard part isn't proving that an AI idea can work once in some perfectly controlled environment. No, the truly difficult part, the part where these expensive initiatives are dying, is making that AI fit the business well enough to actually scale it across your teams. Let's put an even finer point on it with this number, 46%. That is the average percentage of AI projects that are completely scrapped between the proof of concept phase and broad adoption. Nearly half of all projects. And again, teams don't stop using a properly connected AI because the API suddenly broke. They stop using it because the AI just doesn't fit how they actually handle their decisions, how they manage daily exceptions, or how they hand off work to their colleagues. Integration fails at the operational layer, not the technical layer. So, we've clearly seen the symptoms. Now let's diagnose the disease and break down the 3 integration failures. Failure number 1 is treating integration strictly as a technical task. Look, your technical team is fantastic at connecting systems and making data flow, right? But the operational reality requires redesigning decisions. The technical team can't redesign how your specific department makes a call. They don't know how your escalations are supposed to happen or how work actually needs to move between the AI and the specific person who has to act on its output. True integration requires heavy operational input from the people who actually do the work, not just the folks building the IT systems. Which brings us to failure number 2, the total absence of handoff design. This is the design layer that determines exactly what happens between an AI output and the next human decision or action. And honestly, this is without a doubt the most overlooked part of AI integration. If you skip designing this layer, your AI outputs are just going to sit in an inbox, get ignored in a queue, or force someone to manually re-enter the data into the next system anyway. The AI might be technically integrated, yes, but the workflow is totally broken. I really want you to ask yourself a few questions about your own systems right now. Does the AI output route to the right person automatically? Does the reviewer actually know what the AI decided? And more importantly, why it made that decision? Is the format even suitable for the action that needs to follow? If you can't confidently answer yes to those questions, you're experiencing failure number 2. You have a technical connection, but you have no handoff layer. The work produces an output, and then it just sits there. And finally, failure number 3, testing against the pristine demo scenario instead of the real workflow. You know, it's so easy to test a clean, perfect, happy path. And that's exactly what most AI integrations are tested against. But out in the real world, your business deals with edge cases, strange exceptions, incomplete inputs, and situations that look absolutely nothing like the training data.
If your integration is only tested against clean demo conditions, I guarantee you it will break in production, and it usually breaks on your most important high-stakes cases.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our next core concept, what good looks like, defining true workflow integration. We talked a lot about the operational breakdowns, so now we really need a paradigm shift. We have to shift our mindset away from traditional static system connections and basic API plugs. Real integration means mapping out the full operational sequence. This is where we test against the actual living workflow. Real integration means mapping out exactly how work flows into the AI, through the AI, and crucially, back to the specific humans who act on it. It's all about finding that perfect operating fit between the AI's raw capability and your business's messy reality. To actually achieve that operational fit, you've got to design for 4 specific steps. 1. What actually triggers the AI in the real world? 2. What specific format of output does it produce? 3. How does that output route directly to the correct human reviewer? And 4, and this is absolutely critical, what happens when the AI has low confidence? Like, what triggers an escalation? If your integration plan doesn't include routing logic and escalation paths, you haven't integrated the AI into your business, you just kind of bolted it onto the side. Which leads us perfectly into the solution, the Omnisenti approach, integrating workflows. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how far beyond the basic API this approach goes. This operational reality is exactly why finding the right implementation partner is just so critical. The Omnisenti integration layers involve meticulous routing logic. They don't just plug it in, they actually build out the handoff architecture, so outputs aren't just dying in queues. They design the human review paths, they build in robust exception handling for those messy edge cases, and they conduct real workflow testing, not just testing on the clean, happy path. They are literally integrating the AI into the operational heartbeat of your business. So, the crucial point is acknowledging a hard truth about deploying AI. The first version of a live integration is never the final version. Never. You are going to learn things on day 1 of production that you just couldn't have known during testing. That is exactly why Omnisenti includes post-launch review as a standard, non-negotiable part of their integration process. It isn't just some optional add-on or an afterthought. It is a foundational requirement to make sure the system actually adapts to how your team really works. I want to leave you with this final, incredibly important thought. If your integration plan ends the second the API is connected, who is handling the hard part? Because as we've clearly seen today, the API is just the beginning. The hard part is the operational fit, the handoffs, and those messy edge cases. If you're sitting there realizing your current setup stops at the technical layer, it is absolutely time to reevaluate. To discuss what proper workflow integration would actually look like in your specific business, simply reply integration to start the conversation with Omnisenti. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this completely changes how you view your next AI rollout.